Oh, it's bowled him. Clean bowled him.
Gone, yes he is, he's got him. Brett Lee back in town. Oh, beautifully bowled. That's the link, Brett Lee.
Oh, that's quick.
That's six! Can you believe that?
Oh, he's bowled him. He's bowled him. Brett Lee is struck.
Always love the Brett Lee celebration as well.
He's got four, he's on fire, and so is the crowd.
Today for you, we've got a two-pronged pace attack.
First, Brett takes us inside the Australian dressing room to relive some of his most memorable moments. And then it's into the training gear for a masterclass that all aspiring cricketers can't afford to miss on the physical training for cricket. When it comes to pushing the boundaries, few have done it better than Brett Lee. Following in the footsteps of older brother Shane, Brett, or Binger, burst onto the Sheffield Shield scene in the late 90s, and after causing havoc in the first-class arena, he was finally selected for Australia in 1999.
If I was to get the chance, I'll be sending him down as fast as I can.
And he's got him! It took just 4 balls for the tearaway quickie to rip into the stumps and announce his presence on his way to a 5-wicket haul on debut against India.
Brett Lee, he's having a ball today.
With the emergence of the speed gun to TV broadcasting, it confirmed what every batsman knew.
Ball him! Ball him! Ball him!
Brett consistently topped the 150k an hour mark.
That one 156.2 kilometres an hour.
And went on to achieve his lifelong ambition of beating the magical 160 mark during the 2003 World Cup in South Africa. And it's been a testament to Brett's hard work, preparation and conditioning that he's been able to maintain his pace right through his 30s up until his retirement from international cricket in 2012. A smiling assassin on the field, his trademark celebrations just showed how much he loved what he did. And the fans embraced him as Brett Lee became one of our most popular and marketable cricketers. But as high as he got with those adrenaline-charged leaps, Brett always remained grounded away from the game. Lee kept working in a Sydney menswear shop through much of his early career, and as often as he could, he played in a rock and roll band called Six and Out with his mates. That's the public side of Brett Lee. But what I saw as his strength and conditioning coach was a man who never was afraid of putting in the hard work. Brett had plenty of injury setbacks in his career, more than most, and unless a man would have given up and tried something else. But with each injury, he just got back up on the horse, put in the rehab time, and emerged a fitter, stronger, faster, more determined and hardened international cricketer. So much so that after Glenn McGrath and Shane Warne retired in 2007, he took over as a spearhead of the Australian attack, claiming 58 wickets in the next 9 tests at an average of under 22.
Clean bowled him. Brilliantly bowled.
Brett Lee is having a marvellous summer already. Man of the match at the Gabba. 4 wickets here.
And what an incredible record he finished with. 76 test matches for 310 wickets, including 10 5-wicket hauls. Not to mention 5 test half-centuries and a handy batting average of over 20. In one-day internationals, Lee is undisputedly one of the all-time greats, finishing his career level with the great Glenn McGrath with 380 wickets, and possessing one of the best strike rates in history. 2020 cricket came along late in Brett's career, but even there, the New South Welshman has excelled in what's supposed to be a young man's game.
Well, I started playing cricket because, I guess, of my older brother Shane. I grew up in the backyard with 2 brothers, one older, one younger. And my older brother Shane, who also happened to play for Australia, gave me a bat and a ball and said, bowl to me. So I guess I really didn't have an opportunity or a chance in life. I just had to follow Shane's suit. But on a serious note, it was a great way to get involved in cricket. I think my first memory of cricket would be the first game that I played outdoors. Under 10s for the Oak Flats Rats. We went down and played at Bombo, which is on the top of the hill near Kiama. And I think I was about 8 and a half, almost 9, and got thrown into the under 10s. And the first ball I got to bowl in outdoor cricket, they gave me the brand new ball and said, bowl. You are the opening bowler, you've been chosen. And after one over, I had 6 for none off one. They were all bowled, so the kids came off crying. I was embarrassed. Mum and Dad didn't know what to do. I thought, you know, 6 for none off one, this is a pretty good game. I think after I got smacked, but pretty intense first over. Look, I think going from junior cricket to grade cricket, I made the move to try to play in the Sydney grade competition. There's obviously grade back home where I was born on the south coast. But I guess if you want to make that next step, you have to play Sydney grade cricket. So I was about 15 and a half, almost 16 when I first started playing first grade for Campbelltown. And I was still very small at school. I didn't grow up until I was about 17 or 18, grow up in height. So I was quite short, quite skinny, and it was a massive step, but I guess I learned a lot in those first few years. The difference between a club cricketer and a state cricketer, there's a huge level that you go between. It's almost like when you go from state cricket to the Australian level. You know, there actually is that next step, and you know, you've got great first-class players, you've got great first-grade players, you've got great Australian players, but there's a step between, you know, your first-grade cricketers and up to your state level. I guess it's just that sharpness. You know, the batsmen seem to have more time, the bowlers maybe that little bit quicker, the spinners seem to spin the ball a bit more. Maybe that mental edge as well is the reason why that not everyone can play state cricket. So there's a lot of dedication, a lot of sacrifices that have to be made, but there's definitely a bit of a step between, you know, grade cricket and first-class cricket.
With WA resuming at 2 for 117, Test selectors took another hint from the Blues' Brett Lee, Damien Martin becoming his third victim for the match.
23-year-old Lee took 8 wickets for the match, and his second innings assault had batsmen ducking and weaving in self-preservation.
That's me. I'm sort of an attacking bowler. I'm not sort of one to actually sit back and just wait for something to happen. I'm trying to go out there and try and make things happen.
Joe Angel copped the worst of it and has a broken arm after being struck by Lee.
It was outstanding. He really led from the front and he gave us a lot of fire, and as a captain it's always great to have someone on the side who's bowling real quick and making it hard for the opposition.
And according to Steve Waugh, the 23-year-old is the fastest in the world right now. Faster than Pakistan's Shoaib Akhtar. Lee is not so sure, but has the same ambition: to take wickets, frighten the life out of batsmen and break the 100 miles an hour barrier.
I'd love one day if I could break that, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is to play Test cricket.
Well, it was December, early December, and I just turned 23, and I got the call up from Richard Watson from the Australian Cricket Board to say that I've been chosen for Australia and to pack your bags, you're going to Perth. And I was so excited. I was with Corey Richards, my roommate, and one of my best friends back then. I just couldn't believe it. I've been waiting for this phone call forever, and it finally came. So got my chance to go to Perth, even though I was 12th man, then missed the next Test match. I finally got my chance in the Boxing Day 1999 against India in Melbourne.
Congratulations. Yeah, couldn't get a better place to start. Good old MCG. Just go out there and lose your cap. Go out there and enjoy yourself, which I'm sure you've got all your mates with you.
The chance to wear the bay green cap was something that I've always cherished and always dreamed of. So to walk out a packed Melbourne cricket ground crowd, it was huge. The most amazing feeling. Looking back now, I was so skinny, I was so young, so fresh. I didn't really know my trade, I didn't really know what fast bowling was all about, but playing along with the greats like Glenn, the two War boys, you know, Ricky Ponting, Matty Hayden, just to mention a few, you actually grow up pretty quickly, and I think that was, I guess, the turning point in my career to play under such greats.
And they're all up to Brett Lee, wishing him all the best, and he's obviously got the call from the skipper. So, interesting moment for this young man. He's had success with the bat. That'll mean that the confidence is up, but it won't help to get rid of the nerves, because this is what he's really here to do, bowl fast.
We've seen Shoaib Akhtar all summer excite crowds around Australia, and have a look at the response the crowd's given Brett Lee. Tear-away fast bowler.
Before bowling the first ball at the MCG, it was I wasn't nervous at all. It's quite a weird thing to explain and sort of hard to express, but I thought, look, I'd waited so long to get this opportunity and this chance to play for Australia. I thought I'm not going to stuff it up now, so I just tried to sort of fall back on all the stuff that I'd learnt through Shield cricket, through first grade cricket, and just really try and enjoy myself. And I guess that when I'm playing my best cricket and I'm nice and relaxed, I'm smiling, I'm happy, it's always when I play my best cricket. But I was quite anxious, so just want to bowl that first ball, try and hit the green stuff, which I did, and then the rest is history.
First one, it's always nice to see the first one hit the pitch.
So bowling that first day, I think that's my fourth ball. The ball swung back in, and Ramesh played one on and knocked his stumps over.
And he's got him. First wicket in Test cricket for Brett Lee, and he's done it by hitting the stumps.
It was the most amazing feeling to think that I'd now got my first Test wicket, knowing that no one could ever take that away from me.
Brett Lee certainly enjoyed it.
And I thought, well, now that I've taken one, I wouldn't mind getting 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Bowled him! Clean bowled him!
It's just, you can't put words to sum up how great I felt.
He's got him out, LBW first ball. Oh, he's hit him in the end, this is out. Yes, he's taken it at the end of Trinidad. 5 wickets on debut. Brett Lee has brought the MCG alive.
Something that you dream of, you know, wearing the coat of arms, wearing the baggy green cap. And not many people have done it. You've actually got more chance to win the Australian lottery than what you have playing Test cricket. It's the most amazing feeling. It's a sense of pride. It's knowing that you've got 22 million people out there supporting you, backing you, knowing that there's a lot of great cricketers around Australia. There's a lot of first-class cricketers that would love to be in your shoes. So you have to embrace it, you have to cherish every moment, but most importantly, you just got to enjoy it. You know, you're out there playing for your country. It's a very special feeling. I guess my favourite player growing up would have to be Alan Donald from South Africa. Yes, I watched Lillian Thompson, those greats, but there's something about Alan Donald that really inspired me to bowl fast. I loved his controlled aggression, his white sweatband to this day, which is the reason why I still wore it and wear it. But yeah, he just seemed like he really enjoyed his bowling and seemed like a decent guy off the field. And the chance to play against Alan Donald at Perth was a great part of my life, and one that I will always cherish. I don't think he was happy that day because we tapped him around the ground for a few.
That's the way he's gone, and he's hit it pretty well. And that's a very good shot. It's 4 more.
And even an experienced cricketer like Alan Donald is feeling the pressure out there.
Mid-off has been cleared. And that's cleared mid-off way over Lance Klusener's head. What an over there from Brett Lee.
But had a beer after the game. We had a bit of a chat about fast bowling, and I did learn a lot, even like in a day.
Very quick indeed, Jeff. Just how quick was it? Look, one of the fastest we've seen to date.
Well, growing up, you always think about Jeff Thompson bowling 160, and I told Mum and Dad when I was 9, I said, there's 2 things I want to achieve in this, in my life. I actually want to play for Australia, and I want to bowl 160. And that was at the age of 9, and Mum and Dad said, okay, well, we'll try and make you do that, and we'll help you in every way that we can.
I was clocked over the 150 k's an hour as well, and it was the pace that did the Scothic.
We train so hard. There's a lot of images with me and Jock, with me running with a parachute behind me, working on my speed, working on a resisted force. So once I got the parachute off, I felt like I was running like Carl Lewis. So those little things and those little, I guess, training drills were the things that helped me to maintain my speed and, I guess, to bowl the quickest I've ever bowled. Another way that I try to improve myself as a cricketer and to try and get, I guess, the best performance out of me was, I was all about looking after my body, and Jock Campbell had done some research, and there's been a few studies going around that players that drink alcohol after a match, it takes them 3 to 4 to 5 days to recover from alcohol, and then maybe anywhere from 9 to 10 times more likely to get injured if they drink alcohol and play sport. So they needed a guinea pig. Jock asked a few of the guys if anyone would like to go for a week of not having a drink. Not the guys were big drinkers or anything, but I put my hand up, and we agreed on a month. And I said, well, if we're going to go a month, we may as well go to the start of this series. Jock said, if you go to the start of the series, you may as well go to the finish. I said, listen, we'll just do 12 months. So I ended up going 12 months without having a single drop of alcohol. The first game I played in my alcohol ban, I was man of the match.
Beautiful off drive.
Oh, there goes the cut shot down to third man and over the top for 6 all the way. Oh, he's had a go at that one too. Sounds like he got plenty of bat on it. It's going down towards the boundary, and it's another 4, and that's his half century. He's second on this ground. Have a look at the smile on his face.
Crack. Got him. What a catch. Gone straight down the throat of Warren. That's beautiful bowling.
Edged and straight to Adam Gilchrist.
In the air's out, he's got him caught at cover, hitting on the up. Lee gets 4. Steve Ward takes the catch.
Oh, in the air. Oh, what a catch. What a magnificent catch by Steve Ward.
I learned after 12 months that it nothing to do with the alcohol. It was more the mindset, more of the hard work and dedication, the sacrifice that I've done. And it's the fittest I've ever been, and probably the reason why I pre-bowled that spell in South Africa, the 2003 World Cup, where I bowled my quickest consistently. Every single ball was over 155 Ks. But it was a lot of hard work and a lot of fun as well. I felt physically fit. I felt mentally right, and the preparation was the thing that I guess actually gave me the chance to bowl fast in that series. To finally crack that 160 barrier, which I ended up doing about 7 or 8 times, it was a great feeling, because it's like the 4-minute mile. Once it's been cracked, I think that other players can actually then achieve that goal. And there's been about 3 or 4 players now that have done it around the world that cracked that 160, or the 100-mile barrier. And to me, it was a great feeling, and one I'm really proud of. But once you've achieved it once, it's like, well, you've ticked that goal. But you have to look back, and to me now, it's all about taking wickets, and it's not bowling 160 or not trying to bowl 180 Ks. It's about taking wickets and trying to make your team do the best that they can. A few funny moments that happened during that World Cup. The Namibians were playing against them, and there was a rumour that they'd blanked out the speed gun. They'd put a bit of tape over the TV when we were bowling, and they just didn't want to see how fast the Australians were bowling. So that was quite a funny moment, and I think that they were quite scared prior to going out to bat. I remember looking back, playing against Kenya as well, getting that hat-trick, and you don't expect to get a hat-trick in any form of the game, but yeah, to pick up a hat-trick. And I guess the sad part of that story was the first bloke that got hit on the elbow, which went on to bowl him and snapped his elbow in half, and he got carried off. And I guess sometimes that when you injure a person, it sets a tone for the rest of the batsmen. So that wicket, even though the batsman got hurt, which we don't like to see happen, that probably set a shockwave through the rest of the batting lineup, which could have, I guess, helped me get that hat-trick. Winning the World Cup final, 2003, you hope that moment happens in life, but you don't actually expect it to happen. You just don't think it's possible that it is going to happen, because it just seems so unreal. To hold that trophy aloft and in front of the Australian spectators that were there in great numbers to celebrate and to actually cheer us on. I still get goosebumps about actually thinking back about it, even though that was a long time ago, nearly what, 10 years ago now. A very special moment, playing in the 2003 World Cup and holding that trophy aloft was a special moment.
Well, that was a vicious bouncer.
That was a good one, and he couldn't have been that far from his stumps either. Oh, got him, a nasty one, ducked into it. That is a shake-up one. That would have hurt. The bells will be ringing.
Brett Lee is really firing at the moment.
Oh, that's quick.
Well, that's pinned him.
Quick one. It's him on the back.
We're talking about people getting injured and batsmen getting injured. It's unfortunately part of the game that does happen.
Oh, that's hitting. Once you don't watch that ball properly out of the bowler's hand, you're in trouble, and you're going to get hit, and then you start taking your eye off the ball, you're in double trouble.
When you're bowling a ball you know, 156 gram ball, which is quite hard, and around 150, 160 Ks, sometimes somewhere someone's going to get hurt.
Oh, another short one. That's hit him. Australian fast bowlers have got mean and a bit nasty.
Luckily these days people do wear a lot more protective gear and protective clothing, but I think back at the time in the Ashes, we were playing in Perth, and a batsman, Alex Tudor.
Oh, caught him, turned his head away. It's a bounce, it's fended away. And we've got to see a fast bowl going into the kill.
I remember Steve Waugh, when I was out there batting, Alex Tudor was bowling a lot of bounces to me and trying to sort of unsettle me, which is all part of the game. And he actually mentioned Alex Tudor quite well, that when he gets out the bat, he'll get his fair share back. And obviously when Alex Tudor came in, Steve Waugh threw me the second new ball and asked me to try and stir him up a little bit and get him on the back foot.
Oh, that's a good one. And it was well played too. So I think there's a little bit of payback here.
And when you intimidate a batsman, you know, you do it to take a wicket. You don't want to see anyone get injured or hurt. You know, you might try and scare them, but you don't want to see blood or anything. But unfortunately this day...
Oh, that's going a nasty one.
The ball went through his grill, cracked him just above the left eyebrow there and split him open. There's blood everywhere. It was a terrible sight.
And he's in a bad way, unfortunately.
He ducked right into that, Alex Tudor.
It's not a sight you like to see in any grade of cricket.
He got stretched off the ground and never played again after that, you know, as far as Test cricket goes. So you don't want to see people get injured. I guess too then, when you actually think about what batsmen do and what guys like Ricky Ponting and Adam Gilchrist did with the ball around their head and how they managed to defend it and actually hook it, there's a level of respect that it actually goes up to, you know, to know that what these guys have done. But yeah, it's not good seeing people get injured.
Superb fast bowling.
I guess when you're a fast bowler, the easy thing to do would just to try and be and blast a batsman out.
He's got him. It's good bowling. Screened him up, Brett Lee. That's what good fast bowlers do. Got him. There it is. Bowled out.
No one likes to face fast bowling, but certainly in Shield level and international level, they're more accustomed to it. They've played against bowlers that are bowling around a similar speed, 150 Ks. So you have to have more than one trick or one trick in the bag. So to me, it was about being smart, being a smart fast bowler, setting a batsman up.
Oh, big shouts around. Look, he's given him. He's got him. And Lara's gone.
We got him out with the slow ball. So I just got to the top mark, and I thought he was going pretty hard at a couple. So I thought I might try and toss one up there. He missed it, or I appealed, and he was given out. One of the greatest, I guess, dismissals that springs to mind to set a batsman up was bowling to Jack Callis, and in my opinion he's the best all-rounder and probably the best cricketer to ever play the game, and when you get his wicket it's an absolute fluke. But been bowling at Jack, he's been in pretty good form, and just try and bowl a really good length and hold that bouncer back.
He's not having a go at anything, is he?
So been bowling length, 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 trying to be boring for a few overs, and then bowling a big bouncer, hit him in the helmet, unsettled him.
Nearly hit his stumps and he's been hitting the melon.
And then the next ball went for that killer blow and knocked his stumps out.
Big yard! Big wicket.
Well, that was a great combination from Brett Lee. Softened him up with a bouncer and then right through him with a Yorker. Jack Callis, a very, very good defensive player. That takes some doing to hit his stumps. Brett Lee has done it. It's like the 1-2 punch of a heavyweight boxer.
Sometimes it happens, sometimes you miss out, but yeah, when a plan comes off, it makes all that hard work in the nets. You know, bowling at Gatorade bottles, bowling at shoes in the nets, bowling at a target as a batsman's head. So making sure you're ticking every box, but when it actually comes off in a game, it's the best feeling ever. I guess when you get the chance to represent your country, you have to be in the best physical shape that you possibly can be in, and you know, my trade being a fast bowler, that's probably my most important role and most important thing to do, is to try and be as quick as I can, as fit as I can, and get everything working in the right sort of frame of mind and everything. So unfortunately, when you play sport, you do get injured. That's part and parcel of the game, and if you don't expect to get injured, well, then you're pretty much kidding yourself. It's funny when you get asked about how many injuries you've had as a fast bowler, and I always ask the person chatting to, well, how long have they got for the program? It's a long list, but look, it's I guess part of the game. It's, you know, being a fast bowler, you know, you're obviously going to get injured, and it's just the amount of times that you don't get injured is probably the times that you actually appreciate. If we go back a few years, I'd had a fractured back, or a stress fracture through my lower back at the age of 17. Again when I was 21, so at that stage I'd already endured a couple of really bad injuries prior to playing for Australia.
Got him, it's gone. Yes, he's out.
I guess the back injury that I had against the West Indies in Perth, I'd been bowling a lot wide of the crease. There were some serious footholds on the ground at the whacker, which forced me to bowl that wide, and every time I've gone out wide it just felt like my action wasn't quite there. I tend to push the ball a fair bit, which put a lot of stress, you know, through my lower back, and took the last wicket to win the match. I got 5 wickets, I was pumped, I was excited.
Oh, big shout, he's given him, it's all over. It's 12 in a row, what a wonderful moment. 5 for Brett Lee, what a wonderful moment for Stephen Moore and this wonderful cricket side. Great moment in the history of Australian cricket.
All the Australian players in a circle. 12 test match victories without a draw or a loss between them.
Got off the ground, I just felt like there was something wrong with my lower back. Me didn't really tell anyone about it. Woke up next morning, I felt like I couldn't really walk. I had a really terrible, sharp pain in my lower back. I went and had scans, I think, the following day, and had found out I'd been playing with stress fractures of my lower back. So once again, I've been thrown in that rehab program. Something I was getting used to, you know, playing and then getting injured and having, you know, that time away from the game. So it wasn't the greatest memory, but you just have to get through it. I've had 6 ankle operations on my left foot. I've had a lot of work done through. Now, I'm not a physio or a doctor, but they tell me that there's it's called a posterior ankle impingement, and there's a thing called an osteogonum, which is a floating piece of bone in the back of the ankle, so that when you slam your front foot down, a bit of bone might chip off, and then they have to go in and scrape that out and take it out so it doesn't impinge.
When we do hit that pitch hard fast bowlers.
I've had that done about 4 or 5 times. I've had the bottom of the tibia shaved off, so it couldn't actually impact ever again. And they even load it under force during the surgery to make sure that the actual bone doesn't hit. Very painful. It's a long, laugh from cricket. You know, you're looking around anywhere from 3 to 6 months out of the game. A lot of rehab. You know, you lose a lot of, I guess, extension and flexion in your feet and your ankles and your whole body basically. And we've actually done some tests throughout the AIS, and when a fast bowler lands on his front foot, normally it's about 2 times his body weight, whereas mine's about 15, 16 times my own body weight, which is probably the reasons why I've had so many ankle problems. I've also had one on the right. I think I was feeling a bit lonely, so I thought I'd have it done as well. We'll go back to, I think it was 2002, where I snapped my elbow in half, and I just fought my way back into the Australian cricket team after having stress fractures of my lower back. I wanted to prove to everyone that I wasn't injury prone. I wanted to prove that I wasn't soft. I wanted to prove that I could make it at that level. So imagine being on the sort of middle of the whacker ground. I've thrown a ball and completely snapped my arm in half. Medial ligament, flexor tendon, the whole thing had snapped off. It was more the embarrassment and I guess me not wanting to show everyone that I'd done it firstly, but as I mentioned, not to be injury prone. So Steve Waugh looked at me and asked me if I wanted to bowl after I threw the ball at third man, and I said, yeah, I'll bowl. I'll try to. I looked down, my arm was blue, so I warmed up and actually bowled with my arm not even joined.
Well, there's no doubt that Brett Lee has just slowed up a little bit. That one was 131 kilometres an hour. lot slower than he normally bowls.
Brett Lee certainly has been bowling a lot slower than his previous overs.
Oh, that's a good shot. 17 off that over. A really good one for Zimbabwe.
He came up, I was bowling 130 Ks, the rest of the day I've been bowling 150s. He said, what's up? And I said, oh, I think I've broken my elbow. He goes, well, go up and get it checked. And yeah, sure enough, there was a complete separation through the bone. And yeah, I sort of managed to bowl that over. I'll never be able to do it now, but it's when the adrenaline's flowing, when you don't want to let your team down and when you don't want to be embarrassed about being injured. So, hard times, but you know, it makes you a stronger person too, I think, at the end. When I had my elbow operated on, they had to take in some new bones, so they screwed a bit of my hip out, a bit like an apple core. They used to go in without me even knowing, and they took out some fresh bone from my hip, put it in my elbow. That was probably the sorest out of the whole thing. I've had, yeah, elbow surgery twice. I've snapped through, which I've mentioned, through the ulnar bone. Completely snapped through that. Flexor tendon, medial ligament. So after snapping my elbow in half, what I thought would have been a six-week time frame, 6-month time frame, whichever it might have been, actually turned out to be 9 or 10 months away from the game. I didn't know what to expect. I thought I'd be ready a lot earlier than actually what I was. But anyway, I was chosen for the 2001 Ashes. I remember getting the phone call to say that I'm going over to England, you know, and you actually will be going over to the one-day team squad as well, but you won't be playing. You'll just be there to get treatment from the physio, and, you know, in order to be ready for that month later to play Test cricket. So we actually got over there. The guys have been training. I'd bowled off about 2 or 3, 4 steps in the nets, just trying to get through my action, keeping in mind that I had like a month and a half still ready in the tank to actually get ready for Test cricket. So the morning of the first one-day match up in Cardiff, Steve Waugh came down to me at breakfast. The guys were about to leave, and he said, "Oh, Bingham," he goes, "do you have your you know, your Australian colours here with you? You know, your yellows?" I went, "No, I'm not in the squad. You know, I'm here for the Test team." He goes, "Well, you better find some because you're playing." I said, "Well, what do you mean I'm playing?" He goes, 3 bowlers have gone in overnight. You're playing." So there's a mad confusion as to, you know, I hadn't even bowled off my long run. So here I am taking the brand new ball for Australia. I forgot how many paces I took in my run-up. I hadn't done it for like 9, 10 months. I'd bowled off 4 or 5 steps, you know, as I mentioned in warm-ups. So to bowl the first over, the first ball, I ran in the, you know, the elbow was still quite sore. Bowled the first ball, I went through to Gilly, it wasn't that quick. I remember I got 3rd or 4th ball, I got a nick, caught Shane Warne slip, so I thought this is too good to be true. So we had the first wicket against Pakistan, then fast forward, I think I got 1 for 87, I think off 10. It's my most expensive running one-day cricket. But even though I was thrown in the deep end, you know, I learned to play under pressure. I learned to play when I wasn't 100% fit. And even though that was my probably best preparation, what Steve Waugh did for me that day without even knowing was, I guess, harden me up for the times that when I was injured and, you know, play through pain. I think it was back in about 2003, 2004 where I picked up a slap lesion. So it's a tear in the cartilage in the back of the shoulder, which doesn't really allow you to lift your arm up a fair bit. It's what they call a frozen shoulder. So the slap lesion never goes away. It's always there, and like unless you actually get it surgically fixed. I chose not to have an operation on my shoulder. I chose to play with the pain, which I still do now, and, you know, close to 10 years on, it does get sore, it gets painful, but you just find a way to overcome it. You do all your strength work and rotator cuff work to ensure that it's as strong as it possibly can be. During the 2009 Blues Champions League trophy that we're playing over there, the first ball that I bowled in that series, I snapped the ligament off the bone, which you can probably see there, and managed to play the whole series with it not even attached. That was probably going to be the end of me, but you sort of find a way to get through it, and you find a way to overcome the pain when you're playing. Having all these setbacks and having all these injuries, you have to overcome the physical side of being injured, but it's the mental side as well. And I guess that's the reason why I've had longevity in my sport, is that because I've always found a way to come back after being injured. You know, mentally, I've always found a way that I can get back on the park and I hate when a doctor says you can't get back out there and play, you can't achieve that. You know, after my elbow surgery, you know, you won't be able to bowl again, you won't be able to throw again. It's not me trying to prove a point, it's just me trying to prove to myself that I can actually compete at that top level. And that's probably what I'm most proud about. It's not, you know, 300 odd wickets in one days and tests, it's not, you know, lifting the World Cup, it's me challenging myself to get my body out in the park day in, day out, you know, for the last 20 years and bowl, you know, fast. So that's something that I'm most proud of, and hopefully it might happen for a few more years.
It's a test of character, it's a test of courage, and that whole, you know, getting bounced as being a fellow fast bowler, that's just all part of it. You know, I enjoy the whole contest.
Oh, that's fast and frightening.
You're not in the game just to be a bowler, you know, you have to work on your batting and your fielding, and it wasn't until, I guess, the mid-2005-2006 series where I actually did focus a fair bit on my batting. Did a lot of work behind the scenes with Steve Rickson. I hired him as my batting coach and asked him to help me out with no one knowing, and the plan was to try and, you know, one day score a couple of Test 50s and maybe even a Test 100. And went on to achieve that goal, not the Test 100, but a few Test 50s.
He's had a go at that one too. Sounds like he's got plenty of bat on it. It's going down towards the boundary, and it's another 4, and that's his half century. He's second on this ground. Have a look at the smile on his face.
I'd often get sledged about batting in the nets and the way I went about my business, and you obviously imagine 2 steel cages going down either side of the net, and I've found no value to see the ball hit the side of the net, so I always try to hit the ball straight, which probably ended up helping my batting, hitting the ball straight and actually hitting a few sixes down the ground. But yeah, the guys would get pretty upset with me trying to smack balls and loose balls over the back of the fence when we're playing at university grounds and training prior to playing a few series. But I guess that's the way I went about my business.
Oh, that's crunched. And when he hits them, they go a long way.
What's up the top? That made a magnificent crack of leather on Willow, and it's gone into the top tier by the look of the crowd. I lost it in the air, but they're all looking up. That is a mile. It might have hit the canopy. But they don't know where it is. The crowd have lost it. He has hammered that just the right length to get up and under. Just finished talking about how he's working the singles around beautifully. Look at this. Wow.
I was just thinking, one of those 4s that we showed you on replay, the back sounded really good, but it didn't sound quite as good as that one. That made a wonderful crack. Wonderful for Brett Lee. Not so sure that Darren Powell enjoyed it.
There is no way known you have hit a cricket ball from the middle of the Gabba over that canopy, the top of that roof. Impossible. Did it go over or didn't it?
Well, it went over. Yeah, it went over the roof, and I think it landed on the net. And a couple of our fitness coaches went down and retrieved the ball off the net, I think, and I've got the ball in the shed back in the back in the room. So it's pretty handy.
You're telling me it didn't go through that gap? It actually went over.
It went over the sail. Yeah.
It could be the biggest hit in world cricket.
I don't know about that. It just felt pretty good. I was thinking, well, look, if they're going to go out there and bounce me, and I almost got cleaned up with that other ball. It missed my throat by about a centimetre. I actually felt it go past. I thought, well, if the ball's there to hit and they're going to keep bowling short, I'm going to try and have a crack at one. And it just came up the middle.
Stands and delivers. Darren Powell, have a look at his eyes straight away. Oh, he knows. Didn't that sound good?
Under extreme moments and extreme pressure and tight parts of the game where you needed to hit a 6, I felt like I could actually hit a 6 to try and win the match, which had happened on a few occasions.
It's gone, it's 4, 6, it's 6! Can you believe that? It's gone all the way! Wow, how about that? Over cover goes Brett Lee. Just a bit of width. He's got hold of it. That's a great stroke under pressure.
And, it's the same as a batsman has to practice his defence. A bowler going in at the end, needed 9 runs off 1 over, as we did here in Sydney that time.
fumbles. Oh dear. What an end. Missed field, could have been a run out. Bickle and Lee get them home.
Well, then I knew that I'd done the work in the nets and, you know, worked on slogging balls, and occasionally it comes off, occasionally you get your poles ripped down, look like an idiot, but I guess that's sport. Well, playing in that series, a lot against Andrew Flintoff, and every time I went into bat, he seemed to get that second new ball and was the bowling very fast, over 90 mile an hour, at my head, consistently trying to knock my head off, and then when he'd come into bat, I'd get the ball and try and do the same to him. So the crowd knew that, we also knew that. Playing in that second test at Edgbaston, that famous test that we played against England that we lost by 2 runs, and that's that great moment with Andrew Flintoff, which is still now hailed as the Spirit of Cricket Award, with Flintoff putting his arm over me and consoling me when we lost that last wicket. It's a great moment in sport, and I often get asked that question, what did Flintoff say, what caused that to happen? It was just him saying congratulations and bad luck at the same time. You got so close but you didn't get there and all that type of stuff, but I'll see you in after the game for a quiet drink. But you don't actually have to get 5 wickets or score 100 to be one of your favourite matches, and I think that will still go down to me as one of my great moments to play in sport. One of those great matches to play in, because it was a great time. We came so close, we'd fought so hard, but that's what sport does. You don't always win, and you'd always try your best. Yeah, I often get asked about enjoyment of the game, and I look like I'm having a ball out there and I'm playing hard but always smiling and having fun. And look, to me that sums up my life. I've never been a person that's stressful. I've never been one to be too worried about what I'm doing. I train as hard as I possibly can in order to make sure that I do well out in that cricket field. But if I'm out there playing for my country, I'm going to have a bloody good time doing it. So I've always been out there having fun. I've enjoyed the crowd. I've enjoyed the Barmy Army when you're getting sledged. I've enjoyed the stuff that's been written, good and bad. You have to deal with it, and I guess ride what I call this emotional wave. So when you've done well, if you imagine like a wave, when you're at the top of the wave, when you've won a World Cup, or when you're at the bottom of your wave, when you've been injured and you're out for a period of time, that wave shouldn't be too great, so you haven't had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. You've got to ride that emotional wave the whole way through, and I guess that's what I've tried to do over the past 20 years, is just to try and not be too excited or too down, just really enjoy my cricket. And you're playing for your country, and you don't know when you've played your last game. I obviously do now, being retired, but I've loved every single moment of it. And the tips to the youngsters out there, if you get the chance to play in a first grade game or an A game or the Moss from B, just enjoy it, have some fun, and I guess that's I certainly know that you'll do a lot better when you have this frame of mind. When you get the chance to play a game for Australia, it's the most amazing feeling, but to win a match for Australia too, it's pretty awesome.
So for Stephen Waugh and the Australian side, they wrap up the Ashes.
We've had some great memories here. This is actually my locker that I sit in, or used to sit in, for a number of years for the Australian team, and also for the Blues, and also for the Sydney Sixers. So some great memories here. There's been some great moments, and I guess when you're playing in the team environment, as I've mentioned, it's 11 or 12 guys doing the best that they can do individually, but also collectively as a team, and to win that trophy, to win that World Cup, to win that medal. It's a pretty awesome feeling, and to share it with 11 or 12 of your closest mates, it just makes it that much special. I don't like to talk about personal goals or achievements. To me, it's about playing in a team, and to think when Glenn got his hat-trick at in Perth, to think when McGill got his 5 wickets, or Warner got his 5 wickets, Steve Waugh got his great 100 here, which I was next in at bat, so I was happy on 2 fronts that he got his 100, but also I didn't have to bat. And probably the 2009, when we won the Champions League for New South Wales, we'd been known as the Baby Blues, and not really been given a chance at all to achieve that goal, but to actually win that, and to stand proud and to think that we'd achieved so much over in India on those conditions, and also now to win the Sydney Sixers and the Indian Premier League. They're things that stand out in my mind as great achievement. It's not getting 5 for on debut, or or getting a Test 50, it's playing in that team environment because it's made up of 11 individuals, but you're playing for that common goal.
Oh, you ripper! Stay down! What a spell, he's got 5, so you should hug him. It's a magnificent performance.
I think representing Australia so young, 22, 23 years of age, you have to grow up very, very quickly, and to think that I had guys a lot older than me, as in, the War Boys, Matty Hayden, Justin Langer. So they were always there to mould the young guys coming through and to shape them into the perfect cricketer, but also to let them learn about life and learn about other things away from sport. So they always had their families on tour, so you actually do grow up quite quickly in that environment. So I guess from that point of view, it shaped me as a person that can deal with a lot of people around, to deal with the heartache of losing, or sort of getting injured, getting off the ground and getting off your butt and doing it all over again. So, when you haven't played in that team environment or you've just been in a work environment, it's a totally different concept. But I'm glad that I've had those people around me, and that the support that I've had from the Australian cricket team and the public has been brilliant. So it always makes you get up in the morning and train that little bit harder. To me, helping the young guys coming through and helping the young fast bowlers around the world is something that's very, very important to me, and I guess it pulls on that heartstring, because I've had guys above me that have helped me, from Dennis Lee to Glenn, Jason Gillespie, Andy Bickle, those types of guys that have always been there on the phone or even in person, to help out when I've been through some tough times. And I've had the pleasure to help out Mitchell Johnson and Paddy Cummins, just to mention a few. And I guess it wouldn't be fair for me to leave this game for the Australian cricket team if I didn't pass on the knowledge that I've learned from these other guys. So I think it's very important to in order for cricket to keep improving, for past players to pass on their knowledge. And if I can help out one person with one bit of advice that might make him bowl faster or bowl smarter, well, then it actually feels like you've put a bit back into the Australian cricket team.